Welcome to Hawthorne Hill Farm and Homestead. I'm Marilyn Cameron, and with the help of my husband Paul, we operate this lovely 46-acre farm property in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia. Our children are grown and don't live with us anymore, but we still love this lifestyle and want to continue feeding ourselves. On our farm, we grow a wide array of market garden vegetables, berries, and orchard fruits, and garlic. Plus, we raise free-range hens for eggs, lots of meat birds in the summer. We have a flock of Shetland sheep for wool, and our newest addition to the farm is our family milk cow. Each week, we will post an episode that starts us off in the early spring and will continue until the late fall. We will show you all the things that we do on our farm to get ready for the growing season, how we care for our crops, how we raise our animals, how we make nutritional meals, bake bread, make cheese, pasta, preserves, and so much more. We hope that you will join us and will be inspired to try some new things that will help you become more self-sustaining and to fill your own larder. Thank you. It is a gorgeous night tonight, um, and I thought I'd just sort of go and have a little look about in the gardens. I do spend most of my days in gardens, and I'll take one garden on and do whatever needs to be done in the garden. And today, one big garden was weeded, and so that is a big job done. But anyway, this is the little north garden here. Paul did a nice little drone shot of this garden for us. We have three sides of the fencing planted with Penelope peas. I save the seeds, as you cannot get this variety anymore. Every year, we have at least one fail, and this year it's the cauliflower. Something chewed them to pieces, and nothing seems to help. 2 rows of onions, green onions at the ends of the rows, mini onions and shallots at the other end. The onions seem to be doing very well. This year I'm growing a couple of rows of tomatoes with 30 plants in total. Half of them are Roma and the other half are cherry tomatoes, both yellow and red. They're looking good, but they're in need of being tied up and pruning done soon. Next is a few rows of beans, yellow and green. I construct these wooden supports that work very well to help prevent the plants from being pulled out by their roots when they're being harvested. This is a great little plot of very healthy looking broccoli. Arcadia is the variety that I like the best. I had to get my seeds from Missouri, as this variety does very well in Nova Scotia, but it's really hard to find seeds for. These are the potatoes hiding under row covers, and they're getting a good watering tonight. We grow Superior White and Norland Red. Most are for the market, but some will be for us for the winter. I'm hoping we don't get scab. The flowers are forming now. Potatoes don't need to be pollinated, the flowers. So you can leave them under the row cover the whole time. Potato beetle infestations can happen quickly, and the row cover stops them from accessing the potato plants. I leave them on until harvest. We have too many potatoes to hand pick off bugs from, and it could take a couple of hours a day to do it. So these are our haskaps. They are netted to keep birds out. Oh, looks like we have a little cedar waxwing trapped in there. I'll have to get him out. Just a minute, little fella. If you don't net your haskaps, you probably won't get any at all, as waxwings in your area will visit and clean off your bushes in a matter of a couple of hours. The birds certainly love them. Haskaps are hard to pick, and it takes a lot of time to get a flat or two for the market. They freeze well, and lots also go into our freezer for the winter. This is one of the bigger gardens. It's about 85 to 90 feet long by 50 feet wide. Under row cover is a small plot of kale. There is a little moth who chews holes on the leaves, and this barrier helps. Then we have 4 double rows of sweet corn, 800 plants in total. The variety is serendipity, a tasty, sweet, bicolored corn. We took the row covers off the cukes and cantaloupe today. I see we lost a couple of plants. When you transplant cukes, you should also push in one seed too, as it's hard to transplant cukes without several of them dying. They are both in flower now, and they need to be pollinated. So the row covers protect them from cucumber beetle when they're really little, but when they flower, you have to take the row cover off. When the cucumber beetle show up, and if they do, then they have to be picked off, and I use a small flame torch to kill them. These 2 rows with the little stakes are peppers and eggplants. Looks like some of my eggplants got a little bit of flea beetle damage. This is what it looks like. They seem to be doing better now. The damage looks like buckshot, which is typical of the flea beetle. The last row is along the fence, and it is the snap peas. The small west garden is in here, and it's packed with onions and carrots. I've done videos on planting those, so here is what it looks like now. We have 8 rows of carrots with 4 across each row, and a few rows of onions in between. Carrot weevil do not like onions. They live in the soil. And I'm always hopeful that the onions will keep the weevil out. So far, it seems to be working really well. The carrots are mostly Nantes varieties. Some are early and some are late. The onions are white, red, and yellow. And there's Penelope peas planted all around the fence on 4 sides of this garden. Here is another one of my bigger gardens. Some of the veggies growing in here include radish, which is just finished now, and it has been replanted with basil and some more beets, which are just starting to germinate. We have some flowers along the fence. The next row is spinach. It's mostly gone to seed, and this row will soon be flipped and can be replanted or resown with spinach seeds soon. Beets are in the next row. I used a Yang seeder this year for the first time, and it really made a difference in spacing them so that the size and the vigor of the beets is much better. Next is the kohlrabi. There's lots in this row. Here's one. It's a nice one. It's almost as big as a baseball. These are the Hackuri spring turnip. I probably have planted more than I could sell at the market. There's a lot in this row. The next two rows are cabbage rows. Early market cabbages are very tender and great for coleslaw. The next is a storage cabbage, which is like really great for sauerkraut, for instance. At the end of both rows is some red cabbage. Although cabbage are very popular at the market, they are a large plant. They take up a lot of space in the garden, and you only get one cut from each plant, and then they're done. Next to the cabbage are three rows of lettuces. I grow red and green bib, red and green butter, red and green crisps, lolos, some endives, radicchio, and romaines. Lastly, I have a row of some yellow onions and some leeks and a few flowers along the fence. I don't know if a veggie garden can look better or nicer than it does in June before much of it is harvested or turns brown or whatever. So it's a great time to do a garden tour. Here's Paul's drone shot of this garden. I'm now on my way to show you the garlic, but first we'll pass by the blackberries and raspberries, etc. Some dead wood in the blackberry will be pruned out shortly, but you have to wait until you know whether they're going to sprout some new shoots from the wood before you cut them. We have three rows of raspberries next to the blackberries, and they look full of young berries, so hopefully for a good harvest. In the asparagus row, it's for our family use only, and this row is finished for the year. I put on several um, bucketfuls of composted manure and heavy straw mulch to help control the weeds and to fertilize them for the following year. Here we have 5 rows of blueberries, all different varieties. Paul primarily looks after the pruning and fertilizing, but I do help him weed. This is a nice sized plot of zucchini, squash, and pumpkin. I like green and yellow zucchini, patty pans, butternut and buttercup squash, and Cinderella pumpkins. We have to hand water with a barrel and water can out here because it's too far to reach with the sprinkler. Each one was planted on a pile of composted manure. I row cover them until they are flowering. They all seem to be doing fine. I sprayed a little organic insecticide on them when the row covers came off a week ago, just to deter some of the squash beetles or cucumber beetles that come. But I have to check often, and I have to flame off any adults, nymphs, or eggs that I see. And it's a great little exercise to do in the evening. So let's take a look at the garlic. They have been watered and weeded, and most of the garlic scapes have been taken off, but the few were missed because they were too small to be seen. When they have a full curl to them, that's a good time you can cut them off with scissors or just snap them off between your fingers like this. Take these garlic scapes out of your garden and don't throw them on the ground, as the little bulbule at the end will continue to develop even if thrown on the ground and will burst open with hundreds of little garlic seeds. We grow porcelain hardneck and red Russian hardneck, about 6,000 in total. They seem to have a really nice, thick stalks this year, and I'm hoping it's going to be a great crop of large garlic. After the row covers and scapes are off the garlic, I spray one time with BTK spray for the leek moth, which is a real problem in Nova Scotia. As you can see, the tips are starting to turn brown about a third of the way down. When we have half or more of the leaves turning brown, you can harvest. That usually takes place around July 25th to August 1st in Nova Scotia. Then we cure them for 6 weeks before we trim off any stalks or roots. And we are going to have our field cut tomorrow. I'll show a little video of that because it's just amazing how quick a couple of people can work on a 20 some acre field and get that all cut. And then they'll have that baled up by day after tomorrow and taken away. Hi, Tuli and her mother, Clarabelle. They love coming out here in the evening when it's a little cooler. So, finally, let's take a look in Paul's flower garden. On the right, he has several rows of young sunflower transplants. We needed a bit more garden space for the last of the garlic, so we planted about a half a row here. Very soon, we'll take off the row cover, take off the garlic scapes, and weed it out maybe tomorrow. Next, he planted some carrots, most of which have not and may not germinate, not sure. Then he has a row of baking beans. I believe they're Jacob's cattle this year. And next to that is a few rows of gladiolas. As I walk over to the orchard to look at my baby apples and pears, the trees seem to be healthy, and there seems to be a decent amount of fruit on some of the trees, most of the trees. Sometimes fruit trees can have a light set of fruit one year and then a heavy set the next. I do put a chemical thinner on the apples and pears, as hand thinning this number of trees and taking 80% of the apples or pears off can take a lot of time. Let's have a peek at the strawberries. They look lush and healthy and just need a couple of days to finish ripening up. All of the strawberries are Cabot in the old plot and the new plot, and they're getting ready to ripen too for the very first time in this plot. There's also 4 rows of brand new strawberries. Again, they're Cabots. They're looking good. I took the row cover off, and now they just need to have some attention to make sure blossoms or any berries that have formed are pinched off and kept weeded and watered.